Good evening. You're welcome to Prime on my Media Prime, the last edition for the week, an edition that is going to be empowering us at many levels. We are going to be looking at how to optimize our usage of social media with our Friday regular panelists who are always there to help us grow in our use of social media, be it WhatsApp, Facebooking, or other handles, and not to waste our time chatting, discussing ladies, showcasing our breasts and body parts, but the fact that we should use it to make money, and really good money. Today we are going to be discussing on how to get customers on social media. Do you know what it takes to attract persons to your business wherever you find yourself using this very important tool? The secrets are going to be unveiled to you this evening by our panelists on the first segment of today's edition of the program. We also are going to be looking at the notion of an educated man, unveiling the truth of education to your mind. Many persons call themselves educated and literate, but if you were to size their output to their respective communities, you discover that those that are considered uneducated are leaving more impact on their quarters, their villages, their communities. So we are going to be finding out who an educated person is and where we actually missed it as a community of Africans, a community of Cameroonians, a community of either Anglophones and Francophones. We are starting the program this evening with this very dynamic gentlemen who have always been here all Fridays. We are in the company of Mr. Henry Ewane, who is a certified consultant, a trainer, and an author. Mr. Henry, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and it's always an honor to be here and share my experience, my skills, and my knowledge with our televiewers.
On how to sell
on social media.
On social media. Okay, we also in the company of Mr. Neighbor Paul Azinwi, digital marketer and co-founder of Fatma. Good evening and welcome.
Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening, televiewers. It's another Friday, and today we are talking on how you can get customers on social media. So stay put as we discuss this wonderful topic.
We also saw for the very first time is Mr. Michael Atibwagesamo. Yes, he is an agri technician, former trainee of Afadma. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so very much, and I'm happy to be here to share what I've learned so far to my friends so that we all can build good value on the social handles. Okay,
we are also in the company of Mr. Lami Godlove, digital marketing expert and a certified web designer. Good evening, Mr. Lami.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, televiewers. It's a pleasure once more to be here. And the topic for today is how to get customers on social media, which is the foundation of every business. So I look forward to sharing my views with you. Thank you.
Mr. Henry Ewane, the notion of customers on social media. Do we, in our use of social media, actually know its capital importance in selling what we have? That is, you have a phone, you're on WhatsApp, you're on Facebook, and you're looking for customers. You are shouting, you trek, you come, you open your shop for the whole day. You are praying. You rub anointing oil everywhere, and you pray in tongues. You say, "Ba ba 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 ba." Holy Spirit, bring customers here. Holy Spirit, wherever they are from the four corners of the city, bring them here. So you have your WhatsApp with you. You have social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, that is a very wonderful question, Mr. Leo, on how to sell on social media. Now, when we talk about social media, we refer to platforms and apps or websites that like where we can easily get people who interconnect, who communicate, and who share a lot of value. Now, according to recent statistics, there are more than 5 billion people that are using social media nowadays. In Africa, we have more than 500 million people that are using social media. And when I talk of social media, example of social media, we have Facebook, we have WhatsApp, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, and a lot more. You can name the rest. Now, in Cameroon, for example, we have more than 13 million people that are using social media. Nigeria, our neighbor, they have more than 200 million people on social media. Now, it's important to give all these statistics so that you understand how huge is the market potential on social media. Imagine you are a business person in Cameroon and you have 13 million people you can easily sell to by using your smartphone or a laptop. Now, imagine another person who is into business and is getting customers as well, but is not leveraging on social media. The guy is on a big disadvantage, because one of the main advantage of social media is that you can be in Douala and you have customers in Bamenda, you have customer in Garwa, you have customer in Yaoundé, while your business is located geographically in Douala. Meanwhile, if you don't leverage on social media, this is an advantage that you cannot have. So it's important you understand the insight, the in and out of social media marketing for you to easily leverage on this technology, which happens to be one of the greatest innovation of our generation.
Okay. Yes. How do we attract customers to our businesses using the social media?
Well, Mr. Leo, just like Mr. Henry rightly said, we have a lot of people who are using social media, and almost everybody is creating content every day. The question now is, how do you attract people to you? How do you source out people? How do you become outstanding so that people can actually identify with you and buy from you? I am going to give us 4 tips, and but before we go to the tips, I want you to let us know that people buy from who they know, who they like, and who they trust. People don't buy from strangers. So the first thing you are trying to do on social media in order to source out clients is to be able to make people know you, is to make people to trust you and like you so that they can buy from you at the end of the day. The first thing that you can do to be able to get customers on social media is to do what we call content marketing, which is all about you talking about your product every day and educating people around your product so that they get acquaintance to you and see that actually you have knowledge of the product and actually your product can solve their problem. Some people, when they go to sell, what they do is that they start listing the characteristics of their products to the clients, which is not important. You know, you have to spend time on social media educating people about, you know, the use of your product to them. I usually say that in content marketing you have to use the 3 I's, where you have to impact people's lives by educating them about how a product can be useful to them, so much so that you become an authority, a voice in that domain, that you can be able to now to get to the next I, which is influence, where you can now actually push them to decision making and before you can start making income. So content marketing is the number 1 thing that you should be able to do to attract people on social media towards you. And the next thing is branding. You need to make sure that you brand yourself so well so that you can become very outstanding. The quality of content you send out there, the quality of your images and everything have to be in a way that is attractive and appealing so that people can actually, you know, see the need to identify with you and later on start buying from you. One of the third element in getting clients on social media is what we call social proofs or testimonials. You know, the churches know how to do this so well. You know, people who are already consuming your products, you have to find a way to get them testify, and then you record the testimonies and you share them on social media, because people want to consume products that they see that there's already evidence that this product is actually working. You know, so you have to find a way to entice people to testify and actually you share it on your social media handle so that that can entice other people to be able to consume your product. The other element of getting people to consume your product is that you can also run ads. Social media ads are so effective, where you can be able to pay Facebook or any other social media platform to show your product to a particular group of people in a particular area. In that way, you can be able to get people to consume your products. And one of the last and very effective way of getting people to consume your product on social media is to use people who are already consuming your products, which we call referrals. People who now, you can say, for example, hey, Michael who is here, we would say, if you get any client for us, you're going to make 20,000 francs. You know, through that, he is going to also start communicating on his own social media handles, and his own audience is going to know about our products. And because he's testifying that he's also already consuming the products, his people will start consuming our products.
Okay, Mr. Lamy, how can a common business person at Miles, say, supermarket? Because when we talk about attracting persons to come to your business using social media, some persons may think that it is something for these young girls. Yes, but almost everybody can do this. How can a mother who is selling red oil, one father who is watching us from Cambia now, maybe selling honey, another father may be in, let me see, Balmayo watching us and has a lot of goods to sell. Mm-hmm. How do they make use of the social media so that they can easily gather people to take the product?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leo. Mm-hmm. This topic is a practical topic. Mm-hmm. How to sell, how to get clients. Mm-hmm. So the very first thing you want to do on social media, before you even write a single word, is you want to sit and then you want to define your target audience, your ideal clients. Mm-hmm. Who are the people that are supposed to consume your product? What are their problems? What pain points are you? What are their challenges? What are you trying to solve as a challenge on social media? That's the first thing you do. You define your ideal audience. And talking about a lay example that you have given, it may not be a challenge for someone to sell oil on social media because people are already consuming oil. You just need to, it's a straightforward market. Just need to create your presence and probably talk about the bad oil and good oil and how you can detect good oil from bad oil. That is, you are feeding the population with this insight that can permit people to consume good oil. So that is that. I want to talk about a business that is kind of, you are in a business where it is maybe a service or something that is a bit complex to sell. Mm-hmm.
Virtual to sell.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. You want to define your ideal client first because you are not talking to everybody. You are talking to a specific group of people. And when you define that in three things, they have a need for what you are selling. They have the ability, means they can buy. They have the money to buy. And the third thing, they have the authority. Authority here, you can be talking to your child, a child about a product, whereas the father that is making the decision to buy. So those are the three things that define an ideal prospect. Now you want to create a tribe. When you create a tribe, like now you want to create content like Mr. Paul was saying, Mr. Henry has already defined the vast market that we have. So when you have that, you want to build quality content which is geared towards educating your market, educating your target clients. Because when somebody is on social media, the intention is not to buy. And if you have heard about the rule of sevens in marketing, it states that someone has to interact or see or hear about your product 7 times on average before he will make a purchase. So if you are going on social media with a kind of sell mentality, pushing people to sell, hey, I'm selling this, I'm selling that, It's not going to work, because people they are not coming to social media primarily to buy. They come to have fun. So in the course of creating quality content that they can entertain and educate your tribe, thereby you are building a tribe, quality tribe, which you will later sell your product or service. So that is it. Because if you go on the first day, the second day, people are not buying, you may get tired, you may get that this thing doesn't work. You don't know the role of servants in marketing. Because for every brand, you will have to interact with that brand, hear about that brand. Like Mr. Paul is saying, you have these testimonials. All of this is all about interacting.
Okay, so if I get you, Mr. Lamy, it is important to understand your market, and then it's also important to create a community, a community that believes. Yeah. And then you also create credibility for yourself, you said that, yes, for your community, and also look for a way to constantly entertain them, yes, with information that is educative, that is informative, and also entertaining. And then in that midst, where you have created a wonderful community that believes in you, you can now sell your product. Yes. But let's look at packaging of the product, because we may say that, okay, there is a growing market for what they call meublés, furnished apartments. But now, there are some that the way they take the pictures, the way the presentation is done, is appeals. There is also this appeal factor in whatever we are putting up for to attract customers.
Yes, Mr. Leo. Like I said, the branding aspect of marketing is very important. I mentioned that earlier, and it helps to build a mental image in the minds of your clients, because people buy with emotions and then justify with reason later. So you create that kind of mentality, using your example, where people already see themselves living in that guest house without actually coming there, because of the quality of the pictures, the angles of the pictures that you take and you pour out there on daily basis. When they keep seeing that, they start picturing, and before you know it, they are booking to come and stay in that guest house, not because the guest house might actually give them the satisfaction that it is, but the imagination in their mind that you have painted over time is going to make them to live and enjoy their time there. And to throw more light to the question that you asked about local people who are selling products out there, initially it was difficult to keep a relationship between you and your previous client. But today, no matter what you're doing, if you are fortunate to have an Android phone, do what we call in digital marketing the creation of a database. When you are selling to somebody, make sure you collect their number and they have your number. For example, we have several people who come and sell, for example, Irish potatoes in Douala. When they sell to you today, they collect your number. The next time they are leaving Babanki to come to Douala, what do? They simply go to the contacts that they already have, and they announce to them that on Saturday I will be arriving by Douala with bags of Irish potatoes. Just merely through a single WhatsApp message, it can go to 250 people at a time. That's digital marketing, of which initially that was not possible. So the essence of digital marketing is to stay in contact and keep updating your clients or would-be clients about your products, so that when the need arises for them to consume a similar product, they should think about you.
Okay, yeah.
Let me add something on packaging, because it's really important, especially when you are in the service sector. Okay, so when you look at, for example, when you are packaging on social media, if it's a service, for example, you want to give a lot of value and just ask for a little. Like if you go through the program that we have at AFADMA, you see the amount of value we give. So I don't think in a physical institution or physically you can be able to have that kind of volume. That is packaging, where you give so many. Do you have a product or service that can permit you to have this number of, that can have these vast bonuses aligned with, that you can offer to the people because on the internet the cost is comparatively the cost of production is comparatively reduced. It's very important to note that.
Okay.
But you have wide distribution.
I want Mr. Michael to talk. You guys have marginalized him. Are you still a student? Or you
I was a student. I'm done, so I'm practically in the field now, implementing what I learned.
Yes. Tell me, what did they tell you? What courses did you do at a FATMA that also helped you to be able to assist persons today to grow their clients?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Leo. All right, when I was actually studying there at FATMA, I had this mindset about the digital age and looking at how the advancement in technology is coming. I saw the courses. We had graphics designing, we had content creation, copywriting, we had WhatsApp marketing. Those ones were the ones that even took me there. The other ones are bonuses which I think will help me as I am learning the process. But now, going back to my domain as an agricultural technician, I used the knowledge in a sense that for me to be able to get the clients I want from social media, I had to use that skill of content creation. And you cannot create content when you don't have that mindset or that art of doing good copies, because it is through good copies that you convince that client and then you can possibly make a sale. So I use that to be able to get people who can engage into my agricultural activities or buy my agricultural products. But then something popped up. I was like, now many people no longer want to read. How then do I communicate that I have something to sell? I had to go back and revisit my lecture notes on graphic designing, which caused me to produce good and attractive visuals in terms of design, which I simply send out with very short content, and then it catches the eyes of these people and they refer back because of the visuals which I have portrayed. And so I want to say that my studies in this institution, in this academy, was a success, because today I have over 500 clients who don't only come in for agricultural products, but they come in both for content creation, which has also offered me a job to create contents for other companies. And I think it is worth recommending for every youth to engage in this academy and be the best of themselves.
Okay, so FATMA offers you the opportunity to be able to study and to help yourself in the digital world, but also to be able to assist so many persons. But when you acquire this knowledge from FATMA in digital, like he is saying, how do you also sell yourself for persons who before now did not believe that so their miracle? Yes, the miracle is in their hands. They are moving with gold, and we don't know.
Yeah, that's such an amazing topic we have to handle. I think we would need a whole program of 2 or 3 hours to discuss this. But I'm going to summarize. The first thing you have to do when you want to engage into social media is to build expertise. You must be an expert in your particular domain. This is because Facebook's artificial intelligence, algorithm of artificial intelligence, they actually favor content that are coming from experts. For example, Mr. Leo here is a journalist, and he creates content on social media every day. I follow him. And now, Facebook knows from the description of his profile that he's a journalist, so he's an expert in that particular domain. And Facebook is actually going to favor his content, like he always makes sure it hangs high on the platform, so that people can easily see his content. Facebook trusts his content because he's an expert in that particular domain. It's the same thing with me on digital marketing. Every time I create content about digital marketing, Facebook wants to make sure my content goes viral. Many people see it, my followers see it, and they would like to share. Now, why? Because Facebook knows from the description of my profile that I'm an expert in digital marketing. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is building the authority that you mentioned, Mr. Paul. Building the authority. Now, your audience or your potential clients or prospects must see you as an authority in your domain. That's why when you are creating content, be it written content or video content, the authority should be there. Now, once you have been able to position yourself in the minds of your audience as an authority, they can easily trust you, and that's the third point. They can easily trust you, and once they trust you, they will easily buy from you. So those are the three things you have to do. We actually call it in digital marketing EAT, the EAT method. E for it, A for authority, and T for trust. Now, these are the techniques and the strategies that we actually teach people in an African Academy of Digital Marketing, how to build an expertise in your particular domain, how to build authority, and how to create content in a way that people can easily trust and buy from you. So these are the basics that anyone that wants to engage in social media marketing to get clients need to master.
Okay. If you have to create content, build a very big client base, you need to get a great expert. You build credibility around yourself, and then tell the person that I'm an expert in what I'm doing, so I trust whatever I'm providing. How do we mobilize persons to get themselves trained? Because we're talking about expertise here. Trained to acquire knowledge and then be certified and known for what they are doing.
Well, Mr. Leo, this is one of the channels that we are using to mobilize people. One of the questions that young people always ask me that I sometimes rebuke them is that somebody will come up to you and say, I have 200,000, I have 500,000, what kind of business should I do? My answer is always, don't do any business, go and pay and learn something. We can see somebody who leaves the village, for example, Bafur, where I come from, and comes to Bamenda town, who just have first school, who can't read and write, who stays in the garage for 2 years, and the next thing he can dismantle an engine of a big car, and he rebuilds it back, and the car starts going so well. That's somebody who cannot read and write. What has happened? That person has been able to acquire skills. You understand? So the first thing that you have to understand is that
not only skills, knowledge.
Yes, skills and knowledge. That's what I'm saying. So when you get this information, don't hesitate, and don't sit and keep saying I will, because this is already, we are launching the fourth batch of the African Academy of Digital Marketing on the 26th of April. We started last year August, and it's going. So maybe you were saying I'm going to subscribe, and you've been telling yourself that, and this is 2023, this is already April and it's running out. Don't keep wasting time. If you are not doing something out there that's worldwide, or if you are already doing something, I want to upskill yourself or create more opportunities to get clients for yourself, digital marketing is something that you should learn. And if you're watching us now, the numbers are on the screen. Just carefully contact us after this event, and let's have a discussion. Like we always say, those who watch us on My Media Prime, we always want to encourage them to attend this training, because if you look at the flyer that is showing on the screen there, to get these skills is not less than 1.5 million. But now, for considering the situation that we have at hand, and I mean the economic level, we give it out for 200,000. That's registration 10,000, and the fee is 200,000. But still, we say, okay, My Media Prime is doing an amazing job, and they have been informing Cameroonians a lot. So for those who are watching My Media Prime and watching us right now, let us give them a discount of 25%, so that instead of paying 200,000 as a fee, you should pay just 150,000, and there's a possibility for you to pay in installments. As the classes are evolving, you're paying in installments. As Mr. Owen always say, if the classes are evolving and you think that the knowledge is not worth what you requested, ask for a refund, and we are going to refund you. And what we always emphasize is that we created this institution, but we are not the only trainers. We get people who are dominating in their fields to come and train. Like one of the trainers that we're going to have this Sunday is Deli Singer. Many people know her on Facebook. She's going to come and train on how you can build an audience online. In November 2021, Facebook deleted her account that had almost 200,000 followers, and then she started back, and today her account is back to almost 100,000 followers. How did she do that? We managed to talk with her, and she's going to be training the students of the current batch, and that's exactly what we are doing. So if you're watching us right now and you want to attend this the next batch, make sure you register before Sunday, and you are going to get a discount of 25%.
Okay, and you are a graduate and working strong out there.
Yeah, I am.
Persons you are serving satisfied with what you're doing?
Yes, actually, what I do, what we were taught is, in every process where you deliver a service, always ensure for a feedback. And from the feedbacks I have been getting over time, they are good. When I talk of they are good, doesn't mean they are not bad feedbacks, but these bad feedbacks do come to strengthen the next service which you give to the next person. And so, looking at the social media, it has been able to help me get those clients consistently, because there is something, as our brother Godlove Riley said, if you have to continuously sell on social media, you need to be consistent in posting that thing, which creates a memory. People see things over and over, and when they continue seeing these things, they feel eager to know what it is, and you must create. And that is why I create insightful content, educating the people on the reason why they should consume or benefit from a particular product or service. And that has been what has saved me, all thanks to the knowledge I learned from Afadma. So it's been a good journey though.
Okay, Mr. Lami, you are asking persons to come and get a training at Afadma?
We are open for the public, and we are closing the doors very soon, because if you don't want to benefit, if you want to benefit from the enormous discounts that we have for this training, you need to hurry up, because we also have a limit in terms of the number of people that are supposed to come in for the training, because it's a virtual event. We don't want to supercharge the technology, and we also want to follow up with the people that we are going to be able to train them. Yes, it's not the kind of Chinese parliament or what. When this session closes, you will have to wait until we may have finished to train this batch. And as I will say, if you are like me on social media, I like to do investigate and find out if something is legit, if it is real. Our doors are open at Bonasama. That's our main office there. We are online, our handles are there, and you can go and check our handles so far on our page to see the interaction we have. So if you are convinced that we can be able to train you, you need to hurry up, because we are closing our doors very soon. The registration is just 10,000 francs, and we reserve your spot for this batch. So that before the batch starts, or after the second session, you can start dropping your first installment.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Henry, we run up with you.
Yeah, actually, in addition to the 25% discount that we are offering to anyone who wants to join the African Academy of Digital Marketing, and by the way, as Mr. Paul rightly said, we are closing this promotion on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So after this program, if you're watching the program right now, our numbers are on the screen, and you can just contact us right away. Now, in addition to the discounts, we also make sure we get some special gifts from Afadma. Number one, you are going to get a free copy of the digital marketing book, From Competition to Dominion: How to Conquer the African Market in the Digital Age. Totally free for anyone that registers to Afadma. Then secondly, we also want to make sure for those who are looking for job opportunities, we hire the best trainees, and we also recommend to our partners. Remember, we are working with a lot of companies that need these skills in their midst. So when you have trained with us, we want to make sure we refer you if you are good, because we don't refer poor students. If you are good, we refer you to those companies, and you can start working with them and earn salary at the end of the month. Now, also for those who are into business, we show you step by step on how to land your first clients. because there's some people that come into to learn digital marketing from the African Academy of Digital Marketing, and their goal is to grow their business or to start a business. So we want to make sure we hold your hand and show you step by step how to go about it. Then last but not the least, we also make sure we follow up with you until you become so good in a way that no one can ignore you. So take action right now and become the next Michael. And very soon you start making money from digital marketing.
We want to thank you guys all from the AFATMA Institute, one of the leading digital marketing institutions in Africa, operating in Douala and across all the regions of Cameroon. We also are hopeful that next week we are going to be looking at a different aspect on how to make the social media profitable for us all, and to also help grow our economy. And thank you guys for coming.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure, Mr. Leo.
Where am I meeting you guys today?
It's Friday, and we will certainly stop around Bunamusadi. That's where things are happening. So once you finish, just give me a call and let's relax.
Okay, so just order something for me after
Sure.
the program.
Sure, Mr. Leo.
Okay, we're taking a short break to continue with our second segment of the program to also understand what education is all about. Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on my Media Prime. This evening we are going to be continuing our program with a very dynamic lady who is out to also change the dynamics as far as understanding what the notion of an educated man is. She's going to be unveiling the truth of education to our minds through this book that she has written. I also heard about the book, and I felt that it was squarely in line with some of the discussions that have been ongoing in our studio here for some time now, especially when we see persons who are holders of PhDs crying for jobs. When we look at how reckless some of our considered educated persons express themselves in the society, how they carry themselves, we wonder where the value that is supposed to be reflected in their education has actually gone to. So she compiled a book titled The Notion of an Educated Man, Unveiling the Truth of Education to Your Mind. So our guest for the second segment of today's edition of Prime is called Teneng Conscience Tewa. She's coming all the way from the Northwest region to share with us this evening. Good evening to you. We're glad to have you for the first time on Prime R.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to our televiewers. It's my pleasure to be on TV this evening to talk about this book, and I'm convinced that you get to like this book, and you also get to like the ideas that are penned down in this book.
Okay. How are you? Coming all the way from Bamenda?
Yes, I'm all the way from Bamenda, and it's been a raining day. Since yesterday, we have had some difficulties to come here because it was actually raining, and the rain continued this morning. But it still could not stop us. Yeah, it still could not stop us, because when you have an idea that is boiling inside of you, nothing can actually stop you from pushing it out or giving it out to the public.
Yes, the notion of an educated man, what caused you to wanting to pen down this for our society today? And how timely is it?
Very timely. And timely in the sense that there are many people who want to address problems out there, but they do not want to address these problems from the roots. That's why you see from the title of the book, the notion of an educated man is from the word notion, is talking about concepts. So when one's concepts are not grasped, when one's concepts are not understood, you notice that even if you want to apply them, you will also apply them wrongly. So it's important that we have an understanding of what education is all about before we try to apply it, because most of the things that are going on in the society today is that everybody wants to apply education. Everyone wants to apply, but I'm asking the question, from what perspective, from what direction do you want to apply education? So that's why I came up with this book. The second reason is clear. Unlike 10 years back, where people did not have access to information, today people have a lot of access to information that I think is instead helps to derail them. Many people who came out of school could actually curse the education system. Why? Because it's simple. What they did in school was not synonymous to what they could see in the society or place their hands to do. So that alone made them to think that the school they did had nothing to do with their lives. So many people cursed the education system. But I always take time to tell people that in as much as the school was unable to provide exactly what you wanted to do in the society, the school helped you in one way or the other. That's why in this book we have a system. It's a step-by-step approach. You go from step 1. When you leave step 1, you go to step 2. When you leave step 3, and you go to step 4. So the problem per se is not fully with the education system, because you cannot tell me that the teacher who teaches maybe accounting did not teach accounting very well, or if you left school and you cannot balance, or you could not balance an accounting equation, or you could not come up with a balance sheet. That doesn't mean that the teacher did not teach you the balance sheet very well. So I think that even though the education system has some lapses, the education system has also helped to raise people from some level to another level that the society is supposed to take these people. And the people fail to see the lapses of the society and they focus only on the education system. And they themselves also fail to see their own lapses. You know, because everybody has taught us to accuse the teacher, everybody has taught us to accuse the education system, everybody has taught us we need to accuse the government, we need to accuse whoever was involved in our training. And nobody has told us that we need to accuse ourselves for not being honest, for not being concentrated to get what the teacher was saying to us, for not being assiduous enough to get what is relevant in the society. Nobody accuses themselves for what is going wrong. But we are pointing fingers to others.
We are pointing fingers. You say that in the past 10 years, we have had tons and millions of information. I watched on the social media. So many authors have come up with so many books, yet the expression we give of the millions of tons of educational material that has actually overwhelmed the space today, be it physical or virtual space, we are not making use of it. We rather comparatively are showing proof of a less educated class of persons when we look at our fathers who had just standard 1, 2, 3 and 4, I don't know where they ended, and then looking at the existing textbooks at the time and the capacity to access information was very limited. But when you look at the way they carry themselves, when you look at their delivery and we compare with what we have today, something is definitely wrong. Is this the concepts that you think you are out to correct? Concept of education?
Exactly, sir. When you look at the teachers that taught us, they were very much disciplined, composed, and determined to go through the step-by-step process that I just mentioned here. They were never in a hurry to do something because they knew that it was a task that they involved themselves into it, and they knew from the beginning that this is something I have to commit myself from the beginning to the end. And if you look critically in the society, those caliber of teachers are lacking. They are no longer there. And so many reasons contribute to that, which I think somehow we may get to talk about that in this our session. The second thing is the caliber of learners that we have at our disposal. You know, with the influx of information flooding the whole place, everybody has access to what at any time that they want. Many of them lack the ability to be able to analyze this information and take informed decisions. So you see that the information is there, but the ability to be able to analyze this information and take informed decision is lacking. Why? Because they haven't understood the fundamental principles of education. That's why I earlier said, I started by saying that you cannot try to solve a problem that you don't know the roots of that problem. You must start from the source. And like we are saying, this book is somehow scientific. Scientific in the sense that we talk about a step-by-step approach in meeting life's objectives. So if you have not been able to understand the principles of education, what exactly education is talking about, you will miss your steps when you want to apply the knowledge that you want to apply. That's why you said we have millions of books out there, but when you look at the knowledge, nobody is buttressing on maybe fundamental aspects of education that has to do with virtue, honesty, it has to do with integrity. Nobody talks about that. Everybody is keeping to talk about how you can be able to make money, how you can be able to get this and that. But the fundamental things that make us to be educated are lacking, and nobody is buttressing on that. Nobody is keen enough to tell you that if you want, be honest. Be honest with others. Don't tell lies. Don't do this. These are principal values that kept our society intact and made people to live for one another. But these values have been dismantled. These values have been shattered. And people think that even with these values, they can get things that they want. And of course, many people have a definition for success, which I think each and every one of us has his or her own definition. But I think the definition of success should be defined from the perspective of moral values, which this present generation, even with the information that they have, are unable to say so. That's why we say things that are unbalanced, we say things that are unreconciled, and then at the end of the day, we think that maybe elderly persons are going to yield to our biddings. They can't. We must be systematic and coordinated in the way we do things. That's how I see it.
Now, according to you, who is an educated person?
According to this writing here, an educated person is someone who has acquired knowledge in various subjects and has had life experience. Why do I say so? I say so because if you are, and people, the word educated means many things to different people in different places, but in this, that's why I narrowed it to this context of an educated person. When we say you are educated in this context, it means that you have acquired knowledge in a particular subject or in a particular field, and then you have acquired life experiences that can enable you to be able to apply that knowledge. So why do I say so? Because there is if you are, I don't know, you are a journalist and you should be current to what is happening in the society. There's a slogan that is going on in the society that education is not needed. And I have come across so many youths who are not passionate. They are not passionate enough to go and sit in the classroom and learn. It's a problem. It's a problem because if we think that we can just fill up with the information that is appearing to us now and make things happen, we may actually not produce the right things that are needed. For example, I said acquired knowledge in a particular field. Let me use the field of technology that is trending. Everybody is in technology, and of course, somewhere in this book, I said technology is the God of the present and will still be the God of the future. Now, if you look at technology very well, any person that hasn't gotten the knowledge in technology is able to access information here, is able to get what they want here, but they can never replace people who have studied computer science and they have the semantics, the fundamental principles of computer science, who are able to do things. For example, my organization hosted a program. We hosted a program because we focus on 4 domains of life: technology, education, business, and agriculture. So we hosted a program in technology, and our focus was to train our participants on how to create a website, on how to, it was website creation and graphics designing. And the facilitators that were there for website designing were computer engineers who have studied computer science from secondary school right up to the university. They could show us the differences. They could show us how a website that is built just with the knowledge of what we get on Facebook or on Google has so many limitations. But a website that somebody does it with codings and, you know, using those computer gymnastics has a lot of stability in the network area than just a website that, you know, they say those who are into website, we use WordPress, you know, to come up with website. It's different. A website that somebody has taken time to code is different from a website that somebody has used WordPress to just copy and paste. You know, I myself, I'm doing that. They have trained me how to do that, so I do it so well. But there is a great difference. These guys are building sophisticated websites for companies. They are building sophisticated websites for institutions, and there will never be a day that I will sit and compare with those people. And those are the kind of persons that are at the front line of professionalism. Why? They have the semantics of that subject, they have the fundamental principles of that subject, and they can play in and out of that subject and be able to come out free. So we're saying that in as much as education is having problems, and in Cameroon, it's not only in Cameroon. One of the things that Cameroonians fail to know is that they think that educational problems are found only in Cameroon, and that the Cameroon government is doing absolutely nothing to make sure that these things come to, these problems are resolved. No, this is not true. Like any other country in the world, or even developed countries that we look up to them today, they pass through these stages where we are.
Okay, they have issues. No.
Yeah.
We are looking at your definition of who an educated person is. Where would you place these guys who were excelling in different domains without necessarily going to the secondary, high, and university institutions. There are persons who have actually left their mark. Would you also say they are not educated because they have not gone through these stages?
I started by saying that the word education is in various domains. Yeah, you can be educated in one domain and then uneducated in another domain. For example, I teach, so I'm a marketer by profession, by vocation, marketer by profession and by vocation. So I am educated in aspects of marketing. I am an online marketer. I am an online affiliate. So when it comes to issues concerning marketing, I can be able to talk with some ease. I talk with some confidence because I know that this is where I am found. But some other person is versed with, for example, I just cited technology. These guys who are into website creation and all of that, they are educated in that domain, but I am uneducated in that domain. So people who did not go to school but were able to come out with things that were outstanding or even outstanding to make up the society a good place are educated people. And this is where our differences are coming in, the challenge is coming in, because you look at the society and you see people who haven't gone to school, they are able to come up with things that help the society, whereas people who have sat in the classroom for years are unable to come out with things like that. And that's where we are coming in. We said, you who is an educated person is supposed to outshine. You're supposed to outshine these people who haven't even sat in the classroom somewhere, or who haven't listened to somebody tell them about anything, but they are able to devise maybe resources that can help their communities advance. You should be able to outshine these people because you have an upper advantage. You have knowledge that people are looking for. You have somehow you can be able to have access to the people that you need in the society to be able to let that happen. So I think that the context of being educated or not being educated varies depending on the context in which we find ourselves.
Okay, it varies. Now, you are looking at the purpose of education, definition of education by different authors, definition of education in Greek, and a host of others. That one is found in the chapter 1 of this book. But I want us to look at chapter 2, general education. You say the kindergarten school, the primary school, the role of the teacher, the secondary school and the teacher, social threats to learning and knowledge acquisition in the classroom. You say the classroom size, poverty, family factor, technology, bullying, student attitudes and behaviors. Are we witnessing lesser performances in knowledge acquisition in our respective institutions of learning today because of these factors? That's the size of the size of the classroom, poverty, family factor, and technology.
Thank you. I think I started by saying that we have trained us to accuse the government, to accuse the teacher, and somehow some people go as far as maybe even accusing their parents that they have not been able to give them what they want in life. But I think that if we want to actually stand out and give a solution to a problem, we should start with ourselves. If you look at this, why did I come out with this analysis starting from the kindergarten and all of that? Because I noticed that problems of unemployment cannot be solved at the time when people are looking for jobs. It must start somewhere. It will start with the kindergarten. It will start with the of course that's the kindergarten, the pre-nursery. It will start with primary education. It will start at that level. So now we're looking at the role of those teachers that have been put in place to handle these kids at that level. What is their responsibility? So we're trying to do an analysis. I just did an analogy of some teachers or teachers that are put at the disposal of learners to be able to help them come out of this. Of course, we know the challenges that some of these teachers go through, and like I always say, when once somebody is not comfortable, the person cannot give the best. You must give somebody the best conditions ever for the person to produce the best. So that motivation somehow to an extent is lacking on the part of the teacher, And some of the teachers too also have their lapses. There are some teachers that they don't actually know exactly how to play the role. You know, that's why often even on our media, on social media, we have seen how teachers have been able to rape a child. Now, how do you get to rape somebody that they have kept at your disposal to watch over them grow? So we are simply saying in this book that the teacher is it's a model to these people. You are a model in the scene where you find yourself, whether it is the kindergarten or the secondary, and you are a model to these people, and so you have to display it for them to follow up to you. And in all aspects, if you look critically in those days, in the days past, you will notice that teachers were all round. Teachers were actually all round, because I noticed that my teachers had to take me to the garden. I had to do farming with them. My teachers had to go out and show a hibiscus flower. You know, they had to take us out and make sure that we actually see the hibiscus flower. You know, so these are the fundamental principles that I'm saying that have lost. They have lost their place in the society. But today you see that the teacher does not. First of all, the environments in which our schools are found. Sometimes you even look at the school space in which the teachers and the learners are interacting. You look at it; it's not even accommodative. It's not appealing. It's not appealing both to the person, the learners, and the teacher. So we are trying to say that in this book, the teacher remains the role model, and we are saying that for us to be able to advance, those olden days teachers that played a role model must come back to the central play. They must come back to the central play. They must be they must come back to the central position and be able to display what they know as teachers. Of course, we know that times have changed, and that the same didactic materials that maybe they used as teachers at that time will obviously change. Instead of talking about the hibiscus flower, maybe we have to use a projector to tell the children that, okay, this is what a hibiscus flower looks like, and all of that. That is the kind of society we are living in now, and that's how somewhere in this book we still talk about educational technology, which should be the center of our learning now. So the role of the teacher remains fundamental, and the teacher has to be conscious about it.
Yes, the role of the teacher remains fundamental to the molding of the child. But let's look at the family and bullying factor.
Okay. Yes, everything in the society is interconnected. I always tell people, yeah, the fact that you're a business person and you think that your acts of ignorance or your acts of immorality and all of that will not influence you. It will not influence you at that time, but it's affecting another person somewhere. So the education we are talking about today is not a classroom kind of thing. The classroom is only trying to exhibit what parents have already done. Otherwise, we are already on social kind of traits to learning. Otherwise, we will want to train people that have not had a foundation. So we are trying to say that for learners to actually come out, the kind of modeling graduates that we want to see in the society, it must start from somewhere. These people are not harvested from the tree. Everybody must get on board and make this thing happen. So we are saying that for these kind of persons to come out from schools, we notice that there are some problems that affect parents or even the classroom not to be able to make them come out clearly. For example, we have talked about poverty. Poverty is a serious problem. It's a trait to every human being, not only to learners, to parents. I just want to talk about parents. Parents, we are talking about changes in education that parents are unable to afford 3 square meals for the children. How would they learn? They don't have access to good food. They don't have access to, good accommodation facilities. It becomes a problem when once a child is not comfortable at home. That child comes to school with problems, and we have witnessed this. The child comes to school with so many problems that it is even above the teacher to be able to get them resolved. The third is we talked about bullying. Yes, there's bullying both at home and in school, and it is still linked to poverty. They say a hungry person is an angry person. So when parents are unable to have what they want, they are unable to have the kind of finances that they want to maybe dress their children, or maybe give their children what they want to give, the next thing is that they may bully at those children.
Okay, they may bully at that,
yes,
the children. Chapter 3 of your book talks about technical education, a necessity for growth and development. Your net assessment of the place that technical education occupies in our society today?
We cannot do without technical education. That one is a fact. Because even when you listen to, I have listened to a lot, so many young persons, which is good. The passion is already a good, the enthusiasm that most young people are expressing is a good factor. It's something to build on, but they need to be orientated. Because when you listen to them trying to do entrepreneurship, you don't see that technicality, that systematic way of doing things that I earlier spoke of here. That's why many of them have not spoken about the technical school. Yes, it's true you want to learn school skills. You think that school, the technical education is not good enough to give you these skills. Of course, we have testimonies of people who went to the technical education, who went to technical schools that are doing far better off than most of us who went to general educational schools. So, and if we are thinking of creating a society that produces graduates that can add value in the society, and we keep behind the technical education, I think we will not be progressing.
What is your appreciation of the importance that has been given to technical education in Cameroon?
I think the narratives are changing. They are changing, especially with us, the English-speaking people. I grew up somewhere in this book. We grew up to hear a common slogan, and which was real, actually real, that the technical education was as good for students who were not intellectually upright, which is not true. And because I have been in the technical school and I see how tedious the nature of the work they do, you notice that a child that is not intellectually upright cannot actually cope, will not be able to fit in the technical education. So with the recent changes in education and the alarming rate of unemployment, parents are beginning to understand that instead of just pushing your children to go and do some history or some geography, that jobs pertaining to these subjects are really just so difficult to have. It's important that you see the potentials of the children and orientate them in a technical way through the technical education, so that they can easily have their way through life. So many people, I think the narratives have changed, because if you look at the number of enrollment in our technical schools today, it's quite big. Unlike some years back, the enrollment is quite enormous. It's bigger than some years back. So I think that many people are beginning to understand that a technical education is a pivot of the modern society today, because of the number of children that are enrolled in these schools.
Okay. Now, the chapter 3 looks at technical and vocational education in Cameroon, the history of technical education in Cameroon, vocational training schools in Cameroon. What about vocational training schools? And when you look at the history, you are concluding that there is a net evolution in the perception of the true value of technical education in Cameroon, and enrollment is growing. That is what you are saying.
Exactly.
But vocational training schools in Cameroon, where are they placed today?
Well, let me even just when you look at the history of technical and vocational training schools in Cameroon, you will discover that along the way, the original intentions of these schools were kept somewhere, were misplaced. Because I looked at the trend at which these people, the leaders of yesterday, were handling this thing, but somehow along the line somewhere, these things were missing. For example, when you come to vocational training schools, of course, I cannot go talking about schools, technical education, how the first technical education that is Ongbe that trains people and all of that before it migrated to other technical, all of that. That's something that should be read in the book. But now when you come to vocational training schools, you notice that vocational training schools were designed to meet the needs of the people in the localities in which they find themselves or they found themselves. For example, one of the laws leading to vocational training was saying that agri schools should be created in villages where there is land, so that these people can easily practice these things and fall back and develop their villages. So you look at it today, when you look at vocational training schools today, okay, people are in an urban city or an urban center like Douala, and they are doing agriculture, and they are living in a kind of one small room house, or one house that does not even have a yard, and they don't even know where to go and beg maybe a 100-meter square piece of land to practice what they are doing. So you notice that the priorities have been misplaced. The objectives of the vocational training schools are no longer guided to meet the needs of the communities, and as it was stated, when you read archives, when you read books from the Boya archives, they will tell you that vocational training schools were not just created, they were created in localities to meet the needs of the people. So when I look at in an urban area, except that the government has to tell us that they have opened some farmland somewhere, they give authorizations for people to operate schools on agriculture, that the people who go and learn on this learn skills on agriculture in urban centers, where are they going to practice these skills? So there is a problem. Until we take back vocational training schools to those places where we think that they belong, we will still be ranting in city centers by saying that we have vocational training schools.
Yes, but vocational training schools are not limited to the agricultural domain.
They are not. That's what I said. They are not limited. I'm just saying that most of the time, for example, we grant schools. For example, why should the Minister of Education grant a vocational training school, or the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training grant a vocational training school to train people in agriculture in an urban center like Douala, or in an urban center like Yaoundé, unless the school proves to them that they are capable of owning land, that they will be able to train, that they will give these learners the opportunity to go and gain skills in their farmlands, then I don't see the reason why.
Okay.
Yes, and the second thing is, for example, when you go to a vocational training school, they say maybe they are doing training computer engineers and all of that. I mean, the facilities should be there in place. The school should be able to have such facilities in such a way that learners who are passing through these schools should have access to it. That's why we call vocational. People should not go to vocational training schools and they come out and they are still looking for jobs. Or people should not be in vocational training schools, and the vocational training schools are still depending somehow maybe on the learners to give them money, or on their skills in that school their skills in those schools are supposed to make the finances available for them. So if you look at you look critically at the ways vocational training schools are just being dispatched, you always, anyway, it's not my place to come and say how they have to do it, but we always have a critical look at it. They say they are training computer engineers. Do they have equipment like this? If they say they are training, people in let me just say computer engineers. Do they have those kind of computers that learners can sit and be able to? Let's take some messages
from those watching the program this evening. Good evening to all of you in the studio. Despite the challenges that we have in the teaching field, it remains a noble profession. The government of Cameroon just needs to create more technical schools that are well equipped and also give teachers the treatment that they deserve. We shall have more greater positive changes in education. Thanks for the educative program. Nkong Wilson Mbangse, writing from Marwa in the far north region. Good evening to you, my brother. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu, children who bully other children may be children who lost their education for years due to some things. Because of the frustration, aggression is transferred. Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. It is true some few people may overcome the challenges, but it is obvious that our educational system does not offer what we need as a system. We are taught to recall, but not to create. Our system does not teach how to transform cassava into gari, water fufu, and etc. That we need on daily basis. I learned European history in school instead of Cameroon history. They caused us to abandon Douala, Mungaka, and other local language in favor of English and French, which is almost dividing us today. The list is long. I wonder how somebody can... Every education system has a problem. Mr. Liu, let us speak the truth, because only the truth can save us. Thank you. Kwan Jacob is writing from Kumbu. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I admire the young writer. Most teachers, especially private school teachers, have shifted their work back to parents at home. My granddaughter, a class 3 pupil, comes home with a mathematics assignment to write numbers from 100 to 200. English assignments. More of cram work is being forced to our children who are underaged, 8 years, 16 subjects, cramming something. This. Okay, someone needs to hear this out. Yes, are you also concerned? Because I myself, I get frightened at times when I look at what my 2 sons have to study, looking at their ages and what is expected for them to understand and pass an exam.
One of the things people have to understand is that as days go by, things become very complex, and the curriculum keeps adding, because things are also adding in the society. In as much, you see the number of proposals they are giving at the same time that the school has to implement. Just imagine a government has to sit down and implement all of this pressure that is coming in. We need to do this, we need to do this. That is to kill the children that we have at our disposal. But I will say something. When they say they were taught, I think one of the things that I challenge the people that are around me to do is do research. Don't assume, because there is a hearsay in the quarters, in the beer parlors, that we just hear that something is like this and we take it for the gospel truth. It may not be very true, so always find out. For example, if you look at laws guiding education in this country, you look at law number 98 of /004 of 14 April 1998 in this country, is spelling out the purpose of education and the objectives of education. You will see that those laws are set by. We have very good laws. Until I read these things, I will still be talking in the air. This country has very good laws.
Yeah, but we are not talking about the laws. This lady is complaining about the daughter.
No, there was a second writer who said something concerning the things that they thought he was taught history, world history. Okay. One of the things says that one of the objectives of education says that you will be taught other cultures. You'll be taught your own culture and as well other cultures, so that you know how to fit in to the society. Just imagine that your children go to school and they teach them only about Cameroon history. No, it doesn't have to make sense. Your children is not only operating in Cameroon. Cameroon is one of the countries in the world, and your child needs to fit into the world economy. And that's what I am talking in somewhere in. I'm seeing something in this book about the Afrocentric system of education and the Western system of education. If you look at it critically, we are complaining. These complaints are but normal. If you are an educationist in this country that you have been following up and actually doing your work, you will notice that these complaints are normal, but they will not easily be resolved as people think. They will not easily be resolved. Why? We are living in a community where people have shifted. There is rural urban migration. People are moving from one city to another. First, most of the people moving from the villages into the city have no clue on how the city life operates. They carry the system of living or their way of education in the village into the city, and suddenly they need to switch. Suddenly they have to switch from that village kind of living into the city kind of living. It affects them. It takes some time, and at the same time they are giving birth to children who need to fit perfectly into the urban setting, and also taking into consideration their village settings. You see that there is a problem. in as much as these parents are unable to confidently and perfectly fit in their in the society, their parenting also has a problem.
Yes, but that has to do with someone who said we are learning what is not culture.
Voilà.
Or
that's what I'm just correcting that idea that
my question,
we need those cultures. We cannot keep children in school without teaching them those cultures.
Yes, we need those cultures.
Yes.
That also constitutes what an educated person is. If you have to be educated, you are supposed to have global knowledge. But let's come back to general education, the kindergarten school, the primary school, and the role of the teacher. Parents think that what is given to the children and their age does not match.
Okay. What parents think? When I started this class, I spoke. This is not a class. Sorry to say, this session, I spoke about a step-by-step approach, and like the society is expanding, we are seeing the need. Like they are crying, we are seeing the need to do more modifications on the curriculum. And so you see more things are adding in such a way that if we are not careful, we may have a breakdown. But at the same time, parents that are conscious and guiding their children through, they will go through. Like there is a curriculum for class 1. Let the child go through class 1 effectively. Don't allow a child to be skipping classes. Allow that child to go through class 1. Class 2. Now, the question you should be asking is, has the teacher of class 1 finished up with the curriculum that was given to that child? Because I think that curriculum developers know exactly, as psychologists, they know what the brain of a child of 6 years can be able to accommodate. They know what the brain of a child of 12 years and all of that can be able to accommodate. That is why those things are put in place. If a child has the willingness and the support of the parents and the society around him or her to be able to go through this, they will succeed. I don't see any problem in it. I don't.
Okay, you don't see any problem with it. In chapter 3, where you talked about technical and vocational education in Cameroon, the history of technical education in Cameroon, vocational training schools in Cameroon, you've talked about that already. But you also talk about the paralyzed education system. What do you mean by a paralyzed education system?
When we say something is paralyzed, it means that the thing is broken. It's no longer forming the whole. It's no longer functioning the way it used to be.
It's not meeting the objectives.
It's not meeting the objectives. And that is where our problem is. I've gone ahead as just even talking about laws that guide our education system, but there is a problem. And the problem is starting from, let me even just say, the staffing of our schools. Let me go to the government sector and even just cite an example that I used in this book. I don't want to go into other things because it is generally said that with 3 million francs you can go to Yaoundé and become a teacher. I don't want to even get to that because I don't know how far that is true. But let me get to what is real on the field, that is paralyzing us. The fact that they carry French teachers and sent into English schools to teach children in English, and then they carry English teachers and sent into French schools to teach children in English. Come on. We have all realized that the work of the teacher and that of the learner is burdensome. So the teacher is there to make it light. And if a teacher is having a problem in languages, a teacher cannot speak French or English very well, how can that teacher be able to help the learners? And it is going on right now as I am talking. I don't know why education stakeholders, the ministers, the inspectors allow this to happen in schools. I don't know why they do so. But that every year the Cameroon government is sending people to teach in languages that they do not master. What is their objective? Is it to frustrate the people, the learners, the Cameroonians, the young citizens that are coming up and looking up to the country to help them achieve their dreams? Or what actually is their objectives of doing so? The second thing I want to talk about is you look at the private sector. It's a paralyzed education system because you cannot actually, like I said before, those values that my teachers inculcated in me, it is difficult to see those values around today because of what I just mentioned. If you send a teacher to teach in a language that he or she does not master, what do you expect? The second thing is, when you look at private schools, what goes on in private schools? You look at, every day you see schools around, and you look at the environment, you see a small building tied up. This studio is quite large for some classrooms where children find themselves inside. And then I'm asking the question that, must these people run schools where learners come into these institutions and they feel very, very uncomfortable? When once the learning environment becomes uncomfortable, the learners cannot achieve the objectives, and even the teachers will not be able to achieve the objectives of that learning process. So I think that our education system, in as much as we say, has a lot of limitations, that the parties that are concerned, the stakeholders that are concerned, are supposed to look into this and see exactly how they can help out.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and Madam Conscience. The educational system needs reforms. We should contextualize our educational system. The government should stop creation of general schools and create and equip technical and vocational schools. The age for a child in class 1 in Cameroon should be 5 or 6. Thanks for that contribution. Good evening, Mr. Liu. An educated person is he that is cultured and can solve societal problems. On age and education, nursery school 4 years plus 2 years, 6 years is the official age class 1. Paradoxically, parents rush their immature children, and when they fail, they blame the teachers and school systems. So garbage in, garbage out. Yes, but a system should be put in place. Why do you accept them when you know that they are very young? Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to everyone in the studio. It is true we all have problems in the educational system, but Africa's educational curriculum is designed to serve the big guns of the world. Do you know the curriculum of our educational system is designed in France, and Cameroonians are only called and trained on its implementations? No. There are educational experts in Yaoundé. There are textbooks that are written by Cameroonians that we are using every day, please. Exactly. Greetings, Mr. Liu. My regards to your guest. The topic is sensitive, educative, and very important for today's challenges in present-day Africa. Your guest talks of a book. Please, can I ask to know the title of the book and where one can get one? Elvis Tame is writing from Boya. The name of the book is The Notion of an Educated Man, Unveiling the Truth of Education to Your Mind. She actually has gone through chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then concluding. That is actually giving us a definition of education from authors, education from the Greek perspective, and child upbringing and education. And she goes to look at kindergarten, primary school role and teacher, also looking at factors that work against knowledge acquisition, like classroom size, poverty, family factor, technology, bullying, student attitudes and behavior, parents' involvement. She moves on to chapter 3 to look at the technical education, a necessity for growth and development. She goes to look at the technical and vocational education in Cameroon, the history of technical education in Cameroon, vocational training schools in Cameroon, the paralyzed educational system, bilingualism, a tool for progress in education and development, and then goes to also to look at knowledge in the higher institution of learning and the university, provoking consciousness in the learning process. Chapter 4 looks at entrepreneurship, a true mark of an educated person, which I'm going to ask first your perspective of what is dished out at the level of higher institutions and the universities in Cameroon. Okay. What is the appreciation you have of it?
Let me say it's
But before you go, just give you a number. Somebody says
all right.
they want your number.
673 892665. Let me take it all over again. 673-892665. You can just write to me on WhatsApp and I will direct you where to get it.
Okay, yes. We're talking about university and higher institutions of learning.
Okay. The kind of education that we are thinking that we should be having, which I think that some private schools, some private institutions are already indulging into it and appreciate it, is good, is in such a way that if we actually start from the way I try to classify this book, from we start monitoring people from kindergarten right up to maybe having A level, you notice that before a child actually says that he or she wants to go into the university, they're already skillful. They already have skills in such a way that those skills can enable them do something for a living. Of course, in some countries, with your ordinary level certificate, you can just jump into an industry and begin to do things and have money. Now, but when you look at the caliber of knowledge that comes out of our university, first, I will not say it is bad. Never. I will not say so, because I don't have the basis on which I can just evaluate it and say it's bad. Bad in what aspect? That if a university lecturer had to teach maybe law, what do you expect in the teaching of law? You've gone to the university to read law. Now, I think the learners who leave university environments are in a better place to evaluate their teachers, to know who was a good teacher and who was not a good teacher. If you want to read law, of course, you know those law lecturers that could give you law in its best form, tell you exactly what to do. Now, it falls back on the learner. Somewhere in this book, I spoke about it. People have accused the teacher so much, and even schools. There are lapses, I don't refuse. But the person who was supposed to be in charge of the learning process the person falls back, and nobody asks the person why you fell back. Why were you unable to question your lecturer that why is it that this thing is like this and it is not functioning like this? It falls back to university students. If you go to university environment today, you will see something very funny. Students who are supposed to be in the libraries and studying to ask their facilitators questions while lectures go on. In fact, the university, they are just there to wait for the lecturer to come and give them notes, and they go. And some of them do not read those notes to understand. Some of them are there to read those notes to just pass, you know. They don't even recognize the reason why they are in those universities. So they read to pass. They only read when exams have been announced. And sometimes they copy, you know, with technology. You know, I was talking with one of my collaborators in our organization, and this guy is apt. He is a farmer, but he is really apt in what he is doing. So he is doing copywriting online. And one day he came to tell me, he said, "Mom," I said, "Yes." He said, sometimes he's looking at the caliber of children who go to the university and he's really surprised. And he's wondering how they will face the future. A small assignment they gave to him, he is unable to browse the internet and learn it and can say it in his own words and can explain it to people. So you see where the lapses is. The university lecturer has close to about 600 or 700 students to deal with. And so he deals with the ones that are available and focused, determined. And that's why sometimes when I became a teacher and going to class, I noticed why some teachers were much more attached to intelligent children than intelligence does not come by joking. It doesn't just come by you sleeping and waking up and being intelligent. When you see a child that is intelligent, they work. And that work, those research skills that our learners are supposed to get them while at the university are lacking. Ask them why they don't get these skills. When the parents are providing for the money, they provide for the food, they provide for everything, they give the allowances, and yet they cannot be able to grasp the functional value of the knowledge that is provided to them in universities. So I think the problem is with us who go to the university, and like I always say, these learners coming out streaming from these institutions are better placed to evaluate their teachers. The society has no basis, no basis on how to evaluate these people. the society has, even if the society has, will be very limited. I know the teachers who taught me very well. I know the teachers who said the right things. Because I am grown up today, I am able to evaluate what they did. So I know the teachers who died in the teaching field because they wanted to transfer knowledge. So the learners today have a problem. The problem has always, because in the teaching learning process, they say 90% of the work is the work of the learner. Why the work of the learner? Yes, the work of the learner because the teacher is already versed. And like I said somewhere, the attitude, the threats to learning in our institutions. I spoke about the attitudes and behaviors of learners. You know, I gave an assignment and you don't do it. You don't do the assignment.
And when you are recalcitrant in school,
you are recalcitrant.
When you graduate,
you stay away from school.
Unable to get a job, and they say, "Oh, voilà. My son has a degree, and there are no jobs." But some are even scared to pick up a job because they will not deliver.
And this is what I always say, Mr. I have said there are lapses and there are some things that the school can never do. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are some things that the school will never do because, for example, I have asked the question to some personalities that every year schools are sending out 10 million or 10,000 students. Universities in Cameroon are graduating 10,000 students. And nobody has ever told us where those 10,000 students are going to. You think it's the teacher that will come and provide those students work? And some of those students even have the willingness. Some of those students have understood the concepts. They have known what to do. They don't even have a place to practicalize what they have learned. So you think it's a teacher that will come and produce those facilities for these learners to be able to learn? No.
Okay. Good evening, Prime R. Mr. Kum, to me, an educated person is a person who is engaged in the world, open to accepting new thoughts and ideas, and is willing to learn from past and future experiences as well as educational opportunities. An educated person knows how to make productive use of knowledge. They know where to get the knowledge that they need, and they have the ability to organize that knowledge into a plan of action that is directed to a definite end. Mr. Ewane is writing from St. Francis in Kumba. Good evening, sir. This is Gideon. And then we, from Bamenda, I would like to say the question on who is an educated person allying those who learn trade without going to formal school in context cannot be equated to as an educated person. Education can be defined as the process of receiving or giving systematic instructions, especially at a school or university. So I guess there should be a difference between formal education and informal education because both can never be the same.
Exactly.
Thank you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for contributing. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The topic on how to know an educated person is quite interesting. I know people who have gone to schools but are not educated. Also, the point where your guest talks of the teacher being a role model is lacking today in our schools. In the proprietor of Classic School, Menka in Santa Subdivision, and a teacher by profession, children learn what they see than from what they see. I don't know, you say see and see. And some of the school environment are not conducive to the learners and the teachers. Much has to be done in our country in this direction. Mr. Ben Felix is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Mr. Ben Felix. Now, good evening. Nga Divine Teba writing from the top 5, Mancon. From Genesis, man is created with the capacity and will power to know God, understand the purpose of human life, and have dominion and excel over all other creatures. Thus, a truly educated person should have a balanced, integrated spiritual, human, and material education with good conduct to serve mankind and advance civilization. Division, pride, selfishness, and wars are a sign of lack of proper education. Good evening in the studio. I'm Prisco from Yaoundé. Please, I would like to tell our panelists in the studio to be sincere, like in the case where we complain about our system of education, that what our teachers teach in our schools is not what is needed for our society to grow. If we can look at China today and see that it's newly industrialized country, we can ask ourselves how long. Okay, yes, but we have so many professional educational
and
institutions
even the technical
now.
school.
Yeah, we have the technical schools.
School.
You was complaining. I don't know whether you went to a technical school and you were deprived. Somebody just wrote to me. Can I have the pictures someone sent to me now, please? I shared with you. Like, can we have those pictures on air?
Pictures?
No, this is what. Good evening, Mr. Kum.
All
I'm
right.
called Mr. Fung Derit Eboa. I am teaching in some 3 technical schools here in Yaoundé. This is what I do with my students in the building and construction department during field trip work. So I always advise parents to send their children to field trip work because most of private technical schools here in Yaoundé do not buy materials to teach these students practicals. That's why some of these students do not know practicals, and at the end you cannot actually see the difference between the technical students and that of a general education. Can we have the pictures? So the person who is complaining, this is what students in a technical education are doing. They are learning hands-on. So upon graduation, they know exactly what they have to do. So when you complain, I don't know whether you went to a technical school. There are lots and lots of professional schools that have been created. I don't know whether you have been there also, but talking about the higher institution of learning and university done, you talk of provoking consciousness in the learning process.
Yes. Still in a way to stimulate people that are in the learning process to be alert. Just giving incidences through which a learner can just decide to add value to their knowledge. All of these things are coming up because somewhere along the line, the learners are dormant. I think I watched a program on this same TV last week where a little girl came here and was able to say a good number of things. How she was conscious of the fact that she sat behind the class and the classmates who sat behind became a detractor to her, so she had to leave immediately and sit in front. I mean, that child was a role model, and that child is exhibiting attitudes of people who are supposed to be in the classroom learning. But you'll notice that out of 1,000 students, you can just have barely about 5 students that will behave like that. Whereas the curriculum warrants, whereas the society is expecting us to produce people who are all like her. And it's apparent, it can never happen like that. First, I have spoken about threats to learning in our institutions, which is what? This class size. A lecturer has 700 to 1,000 students to deal with. You think you'll be effective? Or a classroom teacher has about, let me say an average class ratio, the teacher's pupil ratio is about 1:50. Come on, let's be realistic in this thing. You think that kind of a teacher will be able to follow up those children in the classroom until those children become effective and competent in all the skills that are needed before they leave school? And then let's not even also forget about the pay package of these teachers. Let's not talk about the government, because I know that at least, even no matter how bad it is, the government is much more better than these private schools. You see a school that they are collecting fees for 150,000, it's 180,000, and a teacher teaching in that school is unable to secure a salary of 50,000. Maximum is maybe 45,000 francs. You think that kind of a teacher can be able to devote energy to produce results that are very, very visible for people to see? These are the kind of things that, and people don't take into consideration these things. Our focus is that the school system is not producing. And I'm asking, on what basis are you saying that the school system is not producing? What are you saying? What are your parameters? What are your measuring rods? What are you using to say that the school system is not producing? So all of those things,
Okay.
And it falls back like provoking consciousness is all about the responsibility of the learner in the learning environment, because university is supposed to produce people who come out emergent, which means that when we say somebody has emerged, it means that this person is able to take responsibility of everything that happens around him or her. It's not the case. So it's a call for concern. You will just sit and say the university is producing a kind of dull set of people who are carrying those are generalized statements. I always call them umbrella statements that are unfounded. It calls a room, go for research, find out what is the problem. Why is it that more graduates come out of school and they're unable to produce research? And that somehow I am bringing on this platform this.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to go through this. For those who would like to talk to her, please, I can share her number with you. Just make a request. Sir, there are millions of jobs, paying jobs, traditional and modern. Youths are lazy and want fast money.
Exactly.
They fear engaging in mental and physical work. They think all is in the social media. Well, I have solutions to unemployment. Come the days ahead. Dr. Neba is writing from Bamenda. Dr. Neba, I don't know whether you are creating a company to recruit persons. Good evening, Mr. Liu. For my own understanding about who an educated person is, thus a person may be considered educated if he develops his knowledge and skills in such a way which ultimately results in his positive contribution in community life. I'm Elizabeth, writing from Kumba Fires Street. Moreover, an educated person owes a responsibility of creating a good and peaceful family or home.
Exactly.
Also, what makes you an educated person is how to make productive use of knowledge. Okay, good evening to you, Elizabeth, writing from Fires Street in Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Interesting topic there. However, I would love to say that looking at this issue from one side, why don't we consider using competence-based learning or competency-based education which focuses on outcomes and real-world performance, because the world is evolving so fast. Mike is writing from Belgium. Yes, but it is still the parents who go and see the teachers to promote their children. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm enjoying your guest and the program in general. Keep up the spirit. Sumbele Kelvin is writing from Kong Samba. Good evening to you. Good evening, sir. I'm Fonlon Henry Michel, writing from the University of Boya. An educated person owes a responsibility of creating a good and peaceful family or home. An educated person knows how to make productive use of knowledge. They know where to get the knowledge that they need, and they have the ability to organize that knowledge into a plan of action that is directed. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening also to the lady. She's doing a great job. I want to contribute that children all have developmental stages according to some psychologists, and these developmental stages clearly spells out what a child is capable of doing cognitively and physically. Why should a class 3 people be carrying about 12 to 23 books to school on a daily basis? Our curriculum designers are the ones frustrating the whole educational system. Peter is writing from Limbe. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening to you and your guest. One of the challenges is underage of children. Some parents are so impatient that they keep pushing their children to skip from one class to another, as such result in incapability of such children in a particular class. The blame here should not be on the teacher, because sometimes parents are the ones being impatient by pushing the children to skip some classes. Thank you. Remain blessed. Dieudonne is writing from Melon. Good evening to you, Dieudonne, and to all of you watching us from Melon out there in Mungu, a division of a littoral region of Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the guests. We need comprehensive education with equipment. We look at chapter 5 of your book that talks about entrepreneurship.
Perhaps let me say something.
Okay.
There was a response that came in there saying on the competence-based approach and all of that. I won't get to saying political things that I may not be able to address within my own, but to say that our education needs reforms. Until we are able to come up with a curriculum that defines our African values, children will keep carrying these big books to school. Yeah, that's just what I can tell people. Until we're able to come out with a curriculum that defines who we are and what we are capable of doing, children will keep, because we are learning about some other person's education. That's just all. We're learning how somebody is making a pot somewhere in Europe and all of that. So those are technical things that involve maybe political issues that, for example, in Cameroon, teachers are not part of the people who take decisions concerning education, but they were supposed to be at the center. So all of those things.
Yeah, but the minister of secondary education is a teacher.
Everything comes when we say teachers are supposed to. When we talk about curriculum development, who is supposed to develop the curriculum? I think it's a teacher. Why the teacher? Because as I go to school every day, I see developments, I see changes. I can be able to give a proposal. Okay. So that's why somewhere some people have said we need another education forum in this country to be able to define exactly how the education process is going to look like.
Yeah, let's get to the entrepreneurship, chapter 5. You say a true mark of an educated person. Is this projected through the entrepreneurship?
If you say you have learned or you have acquired knowledge, you have acquired skills, it should be exhibited through your ability to be able to make money. It should be exhibited through your ability to be able to create an enabling environment for yourself and the people around you. So if you say you are educated, I think it was still, apart from the fact that I have watched it from my media prime, that people who have PhD are going to Yaoundé to strike to have jobs. It is evident around that we see people who have gone, I have a master's degree. What can you, for example, on our platform some 2 weeks back, we had a hot-heated debate where we were trying to tell people, we asked the question, it's true you have a PhD, what can you do? Tell us exactly what you can be able to offer. And some of the participants got so nervous that we are undervaluing the PhDs that we have. We said we can never undervalue, we can never undermine the weight of a PhD. But the simple question we are asking is, with a PhD, what can you put on the table? So we are saying that if you are educated, if you say you are educated, you have gone to school, you have all the degrees that you have, and you still move around to beg for money and beg for job, it means that you are not educated. Because if you were, you will be able to set up maybe a firm. You may be able to set up to produce an article, produce a pod, or you should be able to produce a service industry that will enable you to be able to help yourself and the people around you. So we said entrepreneurship, or I said entrepreneurship is a true mark of an educated person, because nobody who has truly understood, nobody who has truly experienced knowledge will lack what to do with the knowledge, will move around and complain that I am not given this, I am not provided this. When you have the knowledge, that people are moving around and looking for it, you have up to first degree, second degree, and the third degree, and you're moving around and pesting people. So he who is educated is an entrepreneur.
Okay, he who is educated is an entrepreneur, someone who can venture and also take risk to create worth for themselves and not moving around with big titles and begging for money and jobs. We want to thank you, Conscience, for coming all the way from Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital, to share with us what is contained in this book. Okay.
Thank you so very much. I think it's a golden opportunity for me to come on air and talk about this book. And like I always say, reading is a skill that many people, if you must succeed in the 21st century, you must learn to have it. Read, and read widely. And sometimes it's often said, if you want to hide something from a Cameroonian, you put it in a book. So we want to change this narrative. You see, look at the volume of this book. You notice that it is quite small. It would have been very much voluminous, but I decided to make it small, so much such that people can just have access to what is written there and know the things that are happening around you and be able to position yourself, you see. So this book also is, our grand launching is coming up. We have done, our grand launching is coming up on the 30th of this month at the Nsungkikang Baptist Center in Bamenda. So we implore you that if you are around Bamenda and you feel like you need to have more insights of what is written in this book, you could show up at the Nsungkikang Baptist Center on the 30th of April 2023 at 1 o'clock. Nsungkikang Baptist Center. We'll talk many things there.
Okay.
And Mr. Leo, I don't know. I have to autograph your copy. It's so important.
Yes, I was going to ask you to do that before you take leave of me from this studio. So the books are available. Where are they available?
The books are available in Douala. I don't know if I can be given the series of numbers now. I don't know exactly how to go about it. But by the way, if they get to me, let me just give out this number 673. If they want this book, you just get to me. I will direct you in all the towns. They are available in Yaoundé, Bafoussam, Douala here, and Boya and Bamenda. The other cities are still to have access to the books.
Okay.
Yeah. So the various sales points are.
Can you give the number, please?
673 892665. Take it over again. 673 892665.
Okay. For those who did not get that number, if you need her number, just get to me, write to me after the program. I'll share her number with you. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch every edition of Prime Hour throughout this week, and also to thank the production team, Eli and Desmond, for doing the great job across the week. We are wishing you a great week and stay blessed. Bye-bye.